r/ask Reddit. When did you realize your friends were actually fake friends? Finding out they have an inner circle group chat but I'm the only one not in it. Same. I found out that they had two groups, one with me and one without. They never used the one with me though. For any given social group there will be roughly as many text groups as members of the group, each excluding one person. When my phone got stolen and I lost their phone numbers, mine stayed the same, but we just never talked again. Oh no, I think I might have fake relatives. I was invited to the bachelorette party for one of the friends in this group. While at the party, I figured out that I was the only person not invited to the wedding. I had been invited to the party because they needed another person to chip in for expenses. Apparently I didn't realize I was on a different tier of friendship with my so-called friend. My friend was getting married and I didn't get an invite, which was fine since her wedding was a destination wedding in a different country. I attended a sleepover party, which she hosted. There was about 9 girls there in total. They kept talking about the kick-ass bachelorette party and then started showing photos of the crazy party. I realized I was the only one not invited. Made me feel kind of crummy. I am a firm believer that you don't talk about a party in front of someone unless they have been invited, or unless you are willing to remedy the situation by extending an invite then and there. I would maintain that the same rules should apply here, even though the party in question already happened. Edit. Also wanted to add, if you're inviting them then and there, you need to make it sound like you really mean it. Be enthusiastic about it, because the only thing more humiliating than not being invited to the party is when people pull the yep, you can come too, if you want, type of invite. One friend stopped replying to my texts right after we graduated from college, like the same week we graduated, so I was pretty much just a study buddy that they kept close to keep me helping them. Same thing happened to me. Was friends with so many people during college and the last 3 weeks was an unpaid work placement which we had to go back to the school to hand in our paperwork. Not one of them spoke to me or would even answer me if I said something to them. Became clear that I was only valuable to them when I was helping them. Class awards had me down as most willing to help classmates. Edit. Thank you for the award. Smiling face. Edit 2. OMG, thank you all so much for the awards. Never expected this to blow up when I posted. Most willing to help classmates. This is literally a label which gets a lot of friends because it always attracts people. It can be a problem because you are always questioning every person you befriend. It is almost like you have to be extra careful because you are kind and helpful. Such is the world we are in now. The only positive of this is that you can quickly identify fake friends because they drift away without giving a duck while the real ones stay. I wouldn't say I have fake friends, but I am definitely the periphery friend. The majority of the time, if there isn't enough tickets or space in the car for everyone to go do something, I'm the one who gets cut out. It doesn't bother me much, but I wish they would be more mindful when talking to me about things we have done. Remember when we went to see XXX? Wasn't that fun? Well, no, because I wasn't invited. In those situations it usually gets awkward, or they say, hey, we would have invited you if we had the tickets, space, etc. Preach. Absolute preach. It's a shit feeling. I was recently excluded from a party where my friends got on a bus to go out of town. The friend who had the party said that they didn't invite me because there was not enough space on the bus. But I'd rather he told me the truth as to why I wasn't invited in the first place. There were about 70 people on the bus. Edit. To prevent any future confusion, the bus was hired. I mean, at that point, if you're not making the top 70, I think you can say they're not your friends, fake or otherwise. After my divorce, we were couples friends, not individually. Same for me, my ex was crazy abusive and I had proof, and most of our friends took the I'm not taking sides stance. Well, here's the surprise. Not taking sides is siding with the abuser. Especially because when they say I'm not taking sides, what they mean is I don't care what your ex did. I'm staying friends with him. Truth. I was very close friend with this guy I met in high school. Let's call him John. Then he started dating this girl, Caroline. I never really became friends with her, but I liked her. We finished high school and lost touch a bit. They married and had a baby, but we still live close to each other, so we would go out eventually with some other friends. So is 2019. I got to know they are going for a divorce and I didn't knew the reason until other friend that was closer to Caroline told me the reason. John was a very shitty abuser. It even got to the point that he pointed a gun to her, said she was a shitty mom and cheated her multiple times with underage girls. John was never this type of guy when we were teenagers, but his father always acted like this and I think he developed this behavior later. Anyway, I don't consider John my friend anymore and he lost almost every friend he used to have. I had to take a side in this situation and not only excuse him from being an a-hole as most people do. This was quite a few years ago. My ex and I were really friendly with another couple, did a ton of stuff together. Then they moved, not far, and fairly shortly after my ex and I separated. They hung out with me for a few months but then stopped calling. A few years later, I ran into both of them at a race, an ultra marathon, and they both pretended like they didn't know me. That was actually a really painful moment. What a jerk store move. It only takes a second to say hey look it's so and so and good to see you and keep walking. How old were you? Because this sounds like full on adult proximity friends. Rough. It just takes a moment to have a surface level greeting. Pretending to not know someone is just a DCK move. Sorry you went through that. I hope you realize that you dodged a bullet through them ignoring you regardless of how much it hurts. The group made plans to meet and hang out. I was getting ready in the salon. A couple of friends had to back out for some reason. The other friend then made excuses of his own, and I could tell. I tried cajoling him and offer ways for him to go, but he basically decided to cancel the entire group meetup. It was my birthday. Same thing happened to me on my 21st birthday. All my friends made up excuses why they couldn't come. Then the 3 friends that did met some guys and we went back to their house and awkwardly sat around. Happened again for my 25th birthday. I had moved across the country and found new friends, but they all bailed at the last minute. I called my roommate at the time who came out when he got off work, and he called some of his friends who came out and I had the best night ever. Those guys are now my real friends, and I married that roommate. This is extremely heartwarming after reading this thread. Congrats. When they stopped contacting me when I stopped drinking. I feel this. Used to have countless friends. Went out all the time. Lost control of myself and quit. Friends stopped calling. Now I'm a weird eccentric who hangs out in the woods in all my free time. Things are better this way. I have a couple friends who stuck around and the girl of my dreams. That's all I need. When you stop going to the bar you no longer exist to those who live that life. It messed with my head for a while but I get it now. When I realized I was the one always calling, then I stopped and friends disappeared. I only have one exception to this rule, as I know my friend is a reactive texter and he's got a lot on his mind at all times. PTSD, anxiety, depression and such. I check in on him regularly and I don't mind him being AWOL for a while. He's come through for me and he's a good man. The rest can duck off. I am that kind of person, and you are a good friend. Once high school ended, I heard about all the rumors they made up about me. The hell do you mean by rumors? What kind? Why? I have so many questions. Well, they told people that I was addicted to drugs. I was smoking pot but nothing harder than that, but they were the reason I got drug tested at school. They said that I was a horse because my friend's boyfriend was my best friend and she wanted me to stop hanging around him. And that I was fat pregnant. I literally weighed less than 115 pounds. High school sucks. Just a bunch of children trying to be better than everyone else. Whenever we were supposed to hang out something came up and that something was hanging out with other mutual friends. Yes, my best friend in high school used to do this to me all the time. On Wednesday, I'd ask if she wanted to see a movie Friday night. She'd always say maybe, if I can get out of doing whatever with my parents. Come Monday I'd hear her talking about how great the movie was. Apparently, last minute her parents said she didn't have to go and miraculously a group of people called right then and asked her to see the same movie. She'd always say I figured you made other plans when I confronted her about it. In reality, she'd just wait to see what the better option was and pick on Friday. God, that pissed me off. I had a friend that actually admitted that that was the true intentions with the maybe colon. I stopped smoking weed and they stopped coming round. Edit. That's a lot of upvotes. I'm sorry so many of you seem to have had similar experiences. You'll make new friends if you haven't already. To the people saying there's nothing wrong with this, then I'd like to respectfully disagree. These were people I considered close friends. It wasn't just some guys and gals I shared a hobby with. Please don't be so quick to judge when you have very little context. This is a lesson that every smoker learns after a while. Some friends are only friends that you smoke with. A good rule of thumb is to do things together where you're not smoking. If that works, then you are probably real friends and not just together for smoking. I have a friend who I once did practically nothing sober with. We always drank and or smoked pot. He landed himself in some trouble with a DUI and did an enormous life 180. He has been 100% sober off of everything for about 2 years now, and we're all extremely proud of what he's done in that time. Instead of smoking pot and drinking, we chose to do outdoor hobbies and work out instead. Our friendship survived the end of getting drunk high together, and it makes me super happy. When I went through a divorce and was down to $700, most difficult period, and weeded out all those who friended me for my generosity because I was well settled, started over and have like 2 true good friends. Edit. Thank you all for your well wishes and wisdom filled comments. Incredible how sometimes you get more support and well wishes from strangers and folks who led you to believe to be your well wishers. 2 real friends is better than 100 fake friends. Hope you're doing well. Quality over quantity. Like I suspect for a lot of people, getting divorced was a real eye-opener. I started with a core group of close friends who had all met in our late teens, early 20s, and one of them introduced me to the woman who I would ultimately marry. Well into our 40s they were what I considered to be my family, but when the divorce happened things spiraled. My best friend stuck with me, but his wife was the one who orchestrated things in our group, and she was best friends with my ex. I was expecting the 2 of them to insulate for a while, and I knew it was painful for my ex to be around me, so it was no surprise when I stopped getting invitations to cookouts etc. But then I noticed that the other members of the group were also avoiding ignoring me. I'd see on Facebook that one of them came into my town to go to a concert for a band that they knew I liked and hadn't so much as texted. Birthdays rolled around and nobody would call. When my parents both died within a few months of each other and not a one of them reached out, I knew where I stood. My best friend needs to get credit though. Alone from all of them, he made a consistent effort to stay in touch and see me regularly. He was there when my parents died and through everything else, even though his wife clearly disapproved. I think finally, after this nonsense had been going on for several years, he told her how ridiculous it all seemed, and that entire friend group tried to reconcile. I made it clear right from the start that there was no guarantee that I'd ever find space for them in my life again. This is all very apropos right now because they are having their first big post-COVID party in a couple weeks and I'm invited. People are coming in from all over the country and the only one I give a shit about seeing is my buddy. I made the mistake of getting into a serious relationship with my best friend's girlfriend's best friend. Never again. Honestly, I have no regrets. For over 20 years I had it really good with my best friend and his wife being very close with me and my wife. We did everything together and it was great. A lot of my favorite memories are with that group and I'll cherish them till I die. When I was in school, all my friends and I did different A-levels. Despite us all having different lessons to each other, they would wait for each other to go to lunch together. But they would always forget me. Like I'd come out and they wouldn't be there. So I'd have lunch by myself. And then they'd come back and tell me they thought I was with them. I was the only one they didn't wait for. I've only seen one of them since we left school. She had forgotten my name. So that sucked. When you try to open up and try to share a genuine conversation about something going on in your life and all they can do is crack jokes and try to get you to go out drinking with them, made me realize how surface level many friendships really are. Then you have the opposite of that. 3 guys I've known since I was a freshman in high school. Been friends for over 15 years. Have stayed in touch through all of us getting married, having kids, and moving to completely separate areas or the country. Yet whenever we're within an hour of each other we always make a point to get breakfast and catch up. This usually turns into 3+ hour conversations. This may only happen once or twice a year, but I consider those guys my best friends. That's real friendship and I'm fortunate to have them. I'm still best friends with my best friend from 2nd grade. We live on opposite ends of the country now. We make it a point to visit each other once a year. Sometimes where we live, some to meet a random new city. We went to Portland, or last year. Almost 30 years of friendship. We've been there for each other through all the hard times. And I get to be there for his wedding next year. Friendships are easy when you're a kid, but get harder with age. You have shit going on in your life that just makes it harder to hang out with people. But you make time for those who really matter. My friends from high school all unfollowed me when I graduated college. I'm the only one who no longer lives in our hometown. Consider that a badge of honor. This friend, I'll call her Mary, had kids the same age as mine. We got together for play dates pretty often and our kids would sleep over at each other's houses for weekends. I liked Mary. We would often visit and talk while our kids were playing. One weekend, her kids had stayed at my house. The older one called her mom to see when she was coming to pick her up. I was in the room, and the kid put the phone on speaker for some reason. Mary told the kid what time she would be there and added, "You had better be waiting outside. If I have to go in and spend the next hour talking to Robertum, I'm going to be really pissed." We didn't spend much time together after that. Edit. I'm getting a lot of similar questions and comments, so I'll add an edit here instead of writing the same answer a dozen times. Did I overreact? Was Mary just having a bad day and not want to talk? And my personal favorite, Robertum. Maybe you're just insufferable? Here's what happened after I overheard my friend say that to her child. I simply stopped initiating contact and wasn't as available to do stuff for her. When we dropped off or picked up the kids, I smiled and waved. I let the kids make the plans for play dates. I no longer had time to help her with her garden or watch her kids while she went out with another friend. They were into long distance running, which is not my cup of tea. She never contacted me unless she wanted something. This had always been true, but I had not realized it. The friendship eventually fizzled out on its own. So, I guess it had never been much of a friendship to begin with. I just didn't realize it until she opened my eyes. I think this is especially shitty. Mom friends are hard enough to find. Then to realize that they didn't even want to hang with you. And because your kiddos are friends, you don't necessarily want to blow that up by calling the fake mom friend out. I tried to have mom friends, but it failed 3 times, and that was enough for me. I still have one, even though our kids are grown. I remember meeting her and just feeling so comfortable. No bullshit. A lot of kindness and compassion. She's the kind of friend that you can lose contact with for a while, then pick up again as if no time has gone past. Our 4 kids, 2 hers and 2 mine, have an apartment together. They're in college. It was something the kids put together on their own and they're doing really well. I was at a party, really depressed after a bad breakup and got drunk. My abusive ex showed up, caught me somewhere alone and hit me. I begged several friends for help since I was too drunk to drive home alone and they ignored me. My ex-best friend was there, completely sober, and refused to drive home with me because she didn't believe he would do that. There's no Uber or anything in my country BTW. The whole thing escalated. One guy I didn't know ended up finding me alone in a field crying and throwing up. Brought me back to the house, built a bed out of blankets for me and sat guard all night to make sure my ex wouldn't do anything again. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.